Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first virtual town hall meeting. We're disappointed that we don't have all of you with us in the auditorium today, but we are glad to be able to get back in front of our residents, at least on a television screen, and share with you, as we've usually done every month, all that's going on at Monroe Village and all that we have planned for the future. As you know, it's been a really long 6 months for all of us. The way I've described it is the whole thing stinks. I've used some other words, but for television purposes, the whole thing stinks. It has been difficult for every one of us, for all of our residents, for your loved ones, for all of us as staff at Monroe Village and Village Point, for all of our families, for everyone. The whole thing stinks. It has really upended everything about everything that we do and we love. But we persevere, and that's what we do, and that's what we've done. And I think that we as a community here, as a family at Monroe Village and Village Point, have cared for one another, have supported one another through the ups and the downs, and will continue to do so. So we're going to use today's meeting as an opportunity to provide you with an update on everything that we've been doing and some things that we have planned for the future, because we do need to continue to look forward and we do want to continue to move on. So we're going to follow our regular format of various presenters today. However, normally we only have a couple of presenters at each meeting. Today we are going to have all of our leadership team present to you because it has been 6 months and we do want you to get an update from everyone. Going forward, we'll probably continue with this format of recorded or virtual meetings that'll be broadcast on TV, and we'll go back to our regular format of just a couple of presenters each month. But for today, we thought it was important for you to hear from everyone here in the leadership team at Monroe Village. So, with that being said, we will get started. And our first presenter today is Tina Hanneman. Tina is our administrator over at Village Point, and she's going to give us an update on what's going on over there. So here's Tina. You all right with driving?
Good morning, everyone. So I miss seeing everyone's faces. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. And I'm going to provide an update on Village Point. So as most of you know, on March 13th, Village Point closed its doors to visitors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The staff since then, and is continuing to do so, have been working very hard to ensure we're following proper safety measures, following proper infection control. So we're ensuring the health and safety and well-being of the residents as well as themselves. We have been communicating with families ongoing via email, regular mail, phone calls, and so forth. In the meantime, it's hard for families to be away from their loved ones, so we have been coordinating window visits as well as Zoom calls as well as FaceTime calls, and that has been going well given the circumstance, and the family has been very patient. As of August 5th, which is most recently, we were able to open up to outdoor visitation. So we have 2 areas at Village Point. We're using the 2 courtyards, one in Aspen, which is our short-term rehab neighborhood, and one on Evergreen, which is on the first floor, our long-term care neighborhood. So similar to Monroe Village, we have been basically, families have been calling, making reservations at the front desk, and we've been coordinating that. So it has been well received. Families have been patient and are very excited to see their loved ones. And we've been scheduling that about 3 days a week, so that's going very well. During this time, during the pandemic, we also added some new staff members, 2 managers. One of them is Andrew Gardner. He's our Director of Dining Services. He came to us in June with about 25 years of experience in SNF, so he's doing well in that role, as well as Lorianne Connolly. She's a registered nurse. She is our lead MDS coordinator. She started in July. So there are some new faces. Hopefully one day you'll be able to see them as well. And during this time as well, we have been also prepping. I'm sure some of you have been listening to the news. Department of Health has been coming in regularly to our regulated areas to make sure that we're following proper infection control protocols. We had our first visit on June 29th. It was two surveyors that came in the morning and left about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They basically had a tour of our building. They interviewed staff and some managers. They took a look at our closet where we keep all the protective clothing and equipment, as well as looked over our COVID-19 policies, procedures, infection control, and so forth. And they exited that day. It was just a 1-day survey. We did have one deficiency. It was proper hand washing, hand hygiene that was noted. Since then, we have in-service and educated staff about hand washing and hand hygiene, which is currently ongoing. And about a week ago, we had our second infection control survey on August 5th. This time is one surveyor, similar setup. She came in the morning, exited about 4 p.m. She once again did a tour of this facility. She interviewed staff as well as managers. She looked over our policies, our procedures regarding COVID-19 infection control. And we were noted, we got back our results a day ago, and we were deficiency free, which is great. I'd like to thank all the managers, all the line staff for all that they've been doing. And that's all I have. Be well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. Obviously, we have been very, very vigilant in what we've been doing at Village Point and at Monroe Village as well. It's been a lot of effort on the part of all of our team members, and we're not doing it just because there are regulations or things we need to be in compliance with, particularly in assisted living or skilled nursing. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and we want to keep everyone safe. And I couldn't be prouder of the efforts of the Village Point team for all they have done for our residents over there to make sure they've been safe, to make sure our team members have been safe as well. We've done a lot of work on infection control and training to make sure that everyone knows what they need to be doing and is doing it each and every day. So we move from Village Point back over here to Monroe Village, and our next presenter is Nathan Perez, our Director of Sales, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how the sales team has been dealing with the COVID crisis. So here's Nathan.
Hi everybody, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. I'm going to give us a snapshot about where we are in sales and marketing. So this is a roll-up of our 2020 year-to-date results. The goal for us at this point in terms of sales is about 32. We do have about half of that at 17. In terms of closings, our goal is about 34, and results so far is about 18 closings. So as you can see, we're roughly running about 50% behind where we really want to be and planned to be this time of year, and that is all due to the pandemic. It's incredibly challenging to market a community, market our lifestyle, our dining program, when that's all on hold. And obviously there's a lot of fear out there and confusion still. So let's talk about what's happening in our marketing efforts. Unfortunately, we did lose several depositors to COVID-19. They did pass away. Some really great people that are not going to be able to join us, unfortunately. And due to the necessary restrictions on dining, programming, and the rest of our lifestyle that we offer, we've had some folks say to us, look, this is a great community for me, it's a great fit, but it's just not a great time. They have promised to come back to us, and we're trying to keep those relationships alive, but they are effectively on hold right now. Lead generation, what we're seeing is roughly about 50% to goal due to the pandemic and the resulting economy and the stress on folks in terms of that financially. A lot of prospects are saying to us when we're calling them, you know what, when we're on the other side of this, or when there's a vaccine, or when you guys open up X, Y, and Z, give me a call and I'll come back and take a look. So a lot of folks are saying until this passes, they're kind of hunkering down, like a lot of us are in our lives right now. Without the ability to host our large events, you guys know, we love to bring in about 50 to 60 people every single month. We're just not able to do that. Without that ability, a lot of our lead generation will continue to be hindered. We have, in the past few years, built up a pretty good digital presence, so our website, our pay-per-click campaigns are pretty strong. We have some really good efforts going on with Google searches. So that is pretty much where we're going to be spending a bulk of our money over the next really balance of the year, is online. So here's some of the things we are able to do. In terms of lead generation, any sort of mailing efforts that we do, we're going to be focusing on online presentations or virtual presentations called webinars. That would be either myself, I've done one already, or a third-party folks that we reach out to that are industry specialists that we might hire, if you will, to talk about the lifestyle. So folks can log on online and just hear about the lifestyle without coming in. We may do some unit-specific mailers, so come in and take a look at a particular apartment type by making a personal appointment, kind of selling the real estate, if you will. Since we can't sell the real estate of the clubhouse, we're going to try to sell the real estate of the apartment homes. And then, of course, resident and employee referrals, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Those are really going to be our main sources of lead generation without the ability to bring folks in for events and presentations on site. In terms of moving folks forward in the sales cycle and the sales process, we're obviously calling out to a lot of people, keeping relationships alive. We're doing that also via sending sales videos. We have access to a couple new phone applications whereby we can create some short personalized videos and send that out to people, as well as create kind of polished up short videos of the community itself. Oops. Go figure, I messed it up. We're also utilizing testimonials. So I've reached out to a few residents already, and we're going to start reaching out to a few family members of yours as well. Anybody that has a positive spin on all of our efforts, all of our sacrifices, and really how we've come together as a community. If you have a great story for that, I'd love to talk to you and see if there's a way we can utilize that in our marketing. A lot of the folks out there that we've been talking to on the phone are really confused between the horror stories you hear about nursing centers and hospitals, and they're kind of attaching that to independent living and just senior living in general. So any sort of testimonials or real insight we can give to people about how that is in fact not the truth in a lot of places would be really appreciated. So if you do have anything you can share with me, I'd love to talk to you about it. Just give me a call. And then a lot of virtual tours and video appointments. We use FaceTime, we use Skype, a whole bunch of other tools that we've never used before, just to talk to people without having them come in. Here are some things that we are doing in effect to change up our sales and marketing efforts. We're not waiting until the end of this to change things, we're starting right now. Some of the things we've done already, we are going to be offering a new, more modern apartment spec. That is the finished level that we advertise and offer to new people coming in. We kind of recognize that we need to attract that next generation, the quote-unquote boomers that are going to be coming to us, and speak to them a little bit more. So that will be done in select apartments that have not been turned over already, and that will be done at the time of deposit. It's a very nice new finish that you see in a lot of new construction now. That is something we have to do to keep up with all of the progress and construction that's been going on in the local area. We are also going to be offering a limited rental agreement. So for those of you that can harken back to when you first moved in, you pay an entrance fee to move in here, and then you pay a monthly service fee. We have had consistent feedback that the entrance fee is a model that works well for us. Frankly, that's what allows us to generate enough cash to weather something like this, so we are fortunate in that. But there is an opportunity to offer a limited rental agreement. So that would be a non-entrance fee agreement. They would have limited services, so they wouldn't have all of the services that you have as an entrance fee payer, and they would not have the guarantee of access to our healthcare centers as a result of not paying us that entrance fee. But for some people it may work, and we will be offering that on 5 apartment homes that are not owed refunds to previous folks. So it's a test, we'll see what works. We're also introducing a larger apartment. We are calling it the Yardley. It is about 1,500 square feet. bigger and bigger. That's what we're seeing in terms of apartment homes, in terms of condo living, in terms of homes in general in New Jersey. So we do have to offer that. Several of our sister communities already offer a 1,500, even upwards of 1,900 square foot apartment home. Monroe Village has never had that. I think it's time for us to open up to that market, a higher income, higher asset earner. We are going to test it with one location and see what we get. So we are in the middle of drawing up construction plans and working with the township on getting approval to start that construction. We're also changing our approach. We're selling what we have. You might find us not touring the main areas. You might find us having people meet us out back and just bringing them in through the back door and showing them an apartment. Without the ability to show off the lifestyle as much, we're adapting to that the best we can. So we're altering our tour routes. I'll be honest, we are offering some limited incentives. It's a lot slower right now. We need to make sure that we can offer something that we can afford, and that speaks to folks to move in on a quicker time frame for us to get new residents in. We'll also be conducting some market research on the competitor offering, seeing if there's anything that we are missing that others have on the table. Those are going to be starting over the next couple of weeks. We'll be analyzing not only the market offer or the contract offer that our competitors have, but also their sales approach, especially now during the pandemic, to see if there's anything that we can do a little bit differently to match any success that we see out there. Just want to remind you all about the resident referral program that we have. It's a very good program. It is a program whereby if you bring a friend, a family member, any sort of contact information to us, and we reach out to that person, they end up moving into the community, you do receive 1 full month off of your rent or your monthly service fee. So I will pay for 1 month full if you bring us a valid name and someone that is interested in the community. I just want to highlight that again. I know I highlighted a lot, but especially now, given everything we have gone through and how fearful people are really going to want to know firsthand what your experience was in the community, what your family's experience was in the community. So that is really the best way that you can help us right now in terms of sales and marketing, is to really talk up the good things that we have done. It's been challenging for all of us. I understand that. We've all had to make sacrifices, but I think we've all seen a lot of success and camaraderie and the continued building of our community through all of this. So just remember to keep that referral program going. Thank you very much, and stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, Nathan. As we've always said, oh no, there's some heckling from the crowd. As we have always said, you as our residents are our biggest salespeople, our biggest marketers. That has always been the case, but perhaps never more than right now. As Nathan touched on a couple of different times in his presentation, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We all face uncertainty in this day and age right now. But a lot of you have reached out to me individually and reached out to others here at Monroe Village and told us how thankful you are that you were inside our bubble, as I've called it, that we kept people safe, we kept people informed, we were able to do something and feel as comfortable as we could given the circumstances. And we're very proud that we were able to make you feel that way, and hope that we will continue to make you feel that way as we march forward. But to Nathan's point, we really need your help in spreading that word and letting folks know what the experience was like in our community. No, it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine for any of us, but we kept people safe, and we tried to do it in the best way that we could, with a bit of a smile and a bit of fun, and recognize the challenges that we were all facing. So if you feel that you would like to share your story or your experience, please reach out to Nathan. Let him know so that he can work with you on how we might be able to share that with others who are considering moving into our community. And also, as Nathan mentioned, if you have friends, you have family who are interested in being a part of Monroe Village, please let us know about them, and we can reach out to them as well And if they do move in, hey, you win. You get a month of your monthly service fee on us for that referral. So we appreciate your continued assistance and support as we look to rebuild some of the census and the population here at Monroe Village. All right, I don't have a good segue to go from pleading for assistance to dining, but next up is Mike Wierzbowski. He's our Director of Dining Services, and without doubt, one of the areas that have been impacted the most during this has been dining. Dining is such an integral part of what we do, not just here at Monroe Village, but what we do as people. It's a big part of socialization. It's a big part of life. And, we had to shut all of that down, and it's been awful. It's been awful for you as residents. It's been awful that we have not been able to see you in our restaurant and in our bistro, and that we've had to do the systems that we've had. But we've adapted, and I want to give Mike and his team credit for that under what have been challenging circumstances. And, we've had to shut a lot down, and we went to where absolutely everything was delivered to your door, and now we're slowly starting a march back. And Mike's going to talk a little bit about where we've been and where we're going, and some of the things that I hope folks are going to like as we evolve in our new normal here with dining services. So here's Mike.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I just wanted to go over, as Jay had mentioned, we've had some significant changes due to COVID-19 in the food program here at Monroe Village. COVID-19 has not only affected food service here at Monroe Village, but actually across the entire country, as well as there's been many restrictions put on food service operations, and it's affected the hospitality and food and beverage industry as a whole. Some of those changes when COVID-19 first started, we had to adapt quickly to the changes.
Speaking of adapting, watch this. We're going to adapt right now.
Okay, what are we doing?
I'm going to take this from you,
Okay.
so that I can drive and you can speak.
Okay.
Because it's not good to drive and speak. For some people.
Okay, sorry about that. But we had to make some changes very quickly in dining services. We went from dine-in, service with our restaurants to takeout only. We did have, if you remember back when COVID-19 first started to unfold, we were able to have residents come down and fill out their menus. We had to change that to do telephone ordering only. And it's been challenging in many respects, including supplies and product sourcing as well. I know if you think back when COVID-19 first started and we were still going out to the supermarkets, had a hard time finding any kind of paper products, including toilet paper. You would go down to the meat sections in your supermarket, there would be no chicken, there would be no pork, there would be no beef, because a lot of people, were overbuying, and it's just the supply could not keep up with the demand. Also there's been, over the newscasts, there's been a lot of impacts with the, due to COVID-19 in the food processing of poultry, pork, meat products. And even today, there are still quite a bit of shortage in the raw materials that are used to produce a lot of the paper supplies and packaging that the food actually goes into at the manufacturing facility. So it's been quite challenging, and the industry as a whole has been greatly affected by that. We were pretty fortunate, with the suppliers and the vendors that we use here to, make substitutions and to get things in so that we could provide uninterrupted meal service to all of our residents here in our community. The demand is still, once again, it's still outpacing the supplies in certain areas. We've been trying to purchase prepackaged things, your rolls and some of the products that we have that are prepackaged, to keep the food safe and to keep our residents safe and healthy as well. So, fast forward now, here we are. You know, we've had to make some changes. One of the biggest changes I think we've had to make was, you know, with the cancellation of the bus trips and things like that, was to put the village market into place. Many residents, you know, I've heard some really great feedback from our residents, and we were glad that we were able to supply you with not only food items but also some cleaning supplies and other items, so that, you know, your daily life we could keep on a somewhat normal basis as well here to help out, and we were glad to be able to do that. You know, there some of the things that we had talked about at my last town hall meeting, which I believe was back in February. You know, there were some changes that we were planning for the Village Bistro and the Fireside Restaurant, and also with some of the things with our Going Green initiative in terms of some of our paper supplies and things like that. I think we're at a point now with things, you know, where we can talk about the new normal and how we're going to proceed moving forward in dining services. I think that the response from everyone with the village market was very positive, and I think there is a need for our residents who may still not want to go out to the supermarket to continue to offer some of those items in the bistro, you know, in terms of you know, food-related items. I'd like to get back to more food-focused items available on a daily basis in the Village Bistro 7 days a week. So we will be, you know, proceeding with some of those changes starting next week with the bistro. So some of the items that we have available in the Village Market will be incorporated into the Village Bistro hours on a daily basis. We will proceed also going forward with some of the menu changes. We will be very soon reopening the bistro for lunch meal service. Lunch meal service, you know, will be eliminated in the Fireside Restaurant, and we will shift that back upstairs to the Village Bistro like we had it pre-COVID-19. And there will be, you know, menu changes to the lunch menu, and the current lunch menu expanded a little bit so that there's a little bit more variety in the menus and our menu offerings. And lastly, I think the, you know, one of the main things that I wanted to, good job. I wanted to make sure that I have heard from many residents over the course of the past 6 months, you know, via email, voicemail messages, and I've been able to, you know, make sure that I reach out and return phone calls and return and reply to emails. I would, you know, we have not had a customer comment card in about 6 months now. But your feedback is very important to us, because it's helped, just as in the case with the Village Market, everyone's feedback and requests to get certain items in and stock the market so that you folks are able to have supplies to take back to your apartments. Your feedback is important, especially as we move forward with the new normal in our dining services program. So if you can, if you see on the slide, you know, my telephone extension is 6424, and you could also email me directly at mworsbowski@springpointsl.org. Also, the way we will communicate these changes going forward will be through channel 1979. So I encourage everyone to look at the slide presentation that is available on channel 1979 for upcoming changes that we will be making with meal service hours, menu changes, and so forth. That will be one method that we communicate those changes to all the residents here at Monroe Village. We will also do memos with your meals. So what we've been doing since we have started the meal deliveries was we put the next day's menu in your delivery, and security has been great in assisting us with getting memos out to everyone who did not get dinner delivered on any particular evening. But we will proceed with doing memos as a way of communicating to all the residents at Monroe Village, and also we will put copies of those memos in everyone's mailbox too. So they are the three methods going forward that we'll use to communicate any changes, new menu items, and things like that going forward to all the residents here. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy.
This is what happens when you do it live. You have to kind of roll with the punches. But we had a technical difficulty and we solved it. So thank you to Mike and to the dining services team for all of their hard work, just as everyone has done over the last 6 months. But you know, like we said, food is a lifeline. We know that in all ways, shapes, and forms. And for the dining services team to have pulled off what they did in fairly short order is, I think, very impressive. From needing to dial back from full menu service in a restaurant setting to packaging and delivering to your door upwards of 200 and some meals a night is pretty good. And we know there have been challenges with that, and some nights things have not turned out quite the way we would like. But it was changing on a dime, and it was a lot. I think they're to be commended for their efforts, and they also recognize their shortcomings and are trying to work through those as well. I think of particular interest to note with dining was the creation of the Village Market. We kind of called it Jay's Wawa for a while. I have a friend who works at Wawa. Trust me, this is no Wawa. Anyway, he'd be very disappointed and probably sue me if he knew that's what I was calling it. But anyway, the fact that we were able to pull together for our residents the ability to get groceries and get goods, and not just a bag of chips or a bottle of iced tea, but cleaning supplies. And perhaps, you know, in my mind, even more impressively, you know, Mike worked with our meat vendor to get individually packaged chicken and pork chops and steaks, things that, you know, we would never think that we would offer to you as residents, but we were able to pull it off, and folks seemed pleased with that. And I can't thank Mike and the dining team enough for their creativity and their thinking in terms of how to ensure that we were able to provide our residents with as much as we possibly could given the restrictions that we had. And you know, out of this will come the Village Market is here to stay. You know, we've talked about how we're going to integrate that, and Mike mentioned that, into part of our daily operations in the bistro. I think it will be really a service that will benefit our residents in many, many ways, and I think you'll like what Mike and the team have put together and will have to offer for you soon. So, shifting from the need to eat to the need to keep things clean, next up is Dale Hill. Dale is our Director of Housekeeping Services. They are another team who has had to work extremely hard over the last several months to keep us safe. You know, we often tend to think of our housekeepers, you know, as our friends, but as people who come in, they clean, we see them for a little while, and then some of us may not think of them until we see them again or we pass them in the hallway. The housekeeping team, has been part of the lifeblood that has kept us safe over the last several months with all of their efforts of disinfecting and cleaning and sanitizing different areas, and again, needing to figure out how to do all these things like that. So I give them a lot of credit. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dale, who's going to share a little bit about what she's doing and where she's going. So here's Dale. Do you want me to drive? Yes. I figured you did.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to go over what we are currently doing since COVID-19 and what we will continue to do. The first thing I'd like to talk about is our laundry rooms. They're being disinfected 3 times a day, in the morning, after lunch, and in the evening. If for any reason you go to a laundry and you feel that you need it to be disinfected again, don't hesitate to call. We'll come and we'll disinfect it again. Elevators. That is a critical point We disinfect the buttons, the railings. That's an area where everybody gets on and push the buttons. Again, we do them 3 times a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and we do them in the evening. The mail room, all the mailboxes in the mail room are being disinfected 3 times a day. Same way, in the morning, after lunch, and in the evening. Again, if there's anything that needs to be done and you're not sure, you want to make sure it's being disinfected, just call the front desk, have me or my assistant on med call, and we'll come and we'll take care of it. The clubhouse is thoroughly cleaned and disinfected, including all touch points on a daily basis. There's a housekeeping 7 days a week in that clubhouse, cleaning that clubhouse to make sure. And they're trying to hit all the touch points, light switches, doorknobs, buttons, anything that we touch, that's what they're concentrating on. Hand sanitizers are available near all elevators and lobby exits. Please notify the concierge if you find that one is empty. There's a lot of hand sanitizers out now. So if there's one that's empty, just give us a call or call the front desk. That's the quickest way you can contact us, is at the front desk, because we carry radios. And the last thing is, housekeepers will continue to practice social distance and wear masks while in your apartment. If for any reason housekeeper shows up, mask is below her nose, I need to know. That housekeeper needs to continue to have that mask on completely over her face and her nose. And the social distance. If for some reason they come to the apartment, we got to continue the social distance. Thank you, and be safe. Oh, let me get my mask.
Don't forget your mask.
Oh, that's not my mask.
We're gonna call about you if you forget your mask.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is live.
So if we're supposed to call Dale when other people aren't there when wearing their masks, who do we call when Dale doesn't wear a mask?
I can't see, I can't hear.
It's all going downhill for you, Dale. What can I say? No, all kidding aside, Dale and her crew have done an amazing job. You know, I see them out and about in the clubhouse when I get here in the morning, you know, and I'm usually here, you know, 8 o'clock or so, let's say, and they're already cleaning. I see Marina in the morning wiping down those mailboxes, and I've seen John wiping down the hallways. You know, we're on top of it all. But like Dale said, if you see something that you're not sure about, please let us know. It takes all of us having our eyes on things to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe and we're keeping the community clean. Again, I commend Dale and her team for all of their work. You know, we had to make a lot of shifts, again, in that area during the height of the COVID crisis. We weren't able to come into your apartments to clean, and we were disappointed that we weren't able to do that, because we know how important that is to so many people. But we adapted. You know, we took care of your laundry for you during that time, and we were able to come in on an emergency basis for things. And I think we helped people out as best as we could, while keeping at the height of our, you know, focus, keeping everybody safe. So it's been a journey, but I commend Dale and her team for their efforts. Another group that has had to really adapt, I guess we've all had to really adapt, is the Live Well team and our activities and programs and events. Obviously, we are a community that likes to get together. We like to have fun. We like to do different things, whether it's learning or just socializing, playing a game together, whatever it may be. Entertainment, you know, performances. We haven't been able to do too much of that, unfortunately. But, you know, again, we have persevered. We have adapted, and we've come up with different things that we've been in the midst of out of the Live Well team. So I'd like to turn it over to Steve Ween, who is our Live Well program manager, to tell you a little bit about what his crew has been up to and where we might be headed a little bit. So here's Steve. You got it, or you want me to do it? I can do it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll try. Hello, everyone. Okay. Hello, everyone. I would have to take the time now to thank people in this room and my team, and everything is part of Live Well is a branch and part of, obviously, of resident services. So all the things that we've done has really been focused on the team. So Rosemary, Rosa, Maria, Ashley, Victoria, Ahmed, Maria. We've done different things, and I'm proud of that. So, because we're doing this town hall, we do have a YouTube channel. So we've done things throughout the 6 months. Thanks to Reverend Terry's spiritual programs, we've shown a couple of those throughout the time. We do exercise of the day with Ashley. Every Friday, I've shown Steve's attempt to read to my kids, or story time that the kids are paying attention. So, and we've also done a virtual remembering of Memorial Day that I'm proud of too. So the programming that we also do on Channel 1979, we try to do great courses, and I want to thank to all the residents who also have given us some of the content to show. It's a, again, new experience, but it's nice to share what other residents do have and wanted to share to their neighbors. And we try to, show a movie, of course, and with the entertainment that we did have planned for 2020 when I planned it in 2019, we are looking into those entertainers, and as you could see in the 6 months, some of them have still been able to provide us a video. And again, thanks to YouTube and the update system that we did to Touchdown in April, we were able to provide that. So I'm also thankful that we have that. We also did special deliveries. So hopefully, during this time, if you had a birthday, we're the ones that are giving you the card, thanks to Monroe Village, and tasty cakes. So hope you like chocolate. And for Mother's Day, we gave a handmade card and chocolate and flowers. For Father's Day, we gave balloons and a beer and chocolate. So we're still looking into, we're coming to the stretch with holidays, so we would still like to continue that as well. And with the deliveries, we have been doing total brain health worksheets, people that have called us. We've still been continuing and probably look into what's available through our total brain health package. We also gave out exercises. At the time, the gym was closed. There was no group exercising. So we did give out packets for people to exercise in the comforts of their home. So reorganizing the common areas. I do like to clean. And with everything kind of being shut down, and like Nathan said too, we really want to market the place. So really taking up what we have and kind of repurposing things. And when we were closed March and April, we still do. If people would like a craft or puzzle games, please call 6477. I'll probably repeat that again. Call. Like I said, reorganized. Even our library wanted to kind of focus on, again, making the books more visible and manageable. So we did not throw any books away. We just looked at everything and made it look a little bit nice. And we've been getting new books from other people. And the next thing, which was part of the beginning of May, the team and I, we did outdoor time. So roughly started around, I would think, May 6th. So in a 7-week time frame, we did, because of the protocol, we did 1,500 temperature checks. And that was just resident-like. So again, that team that I named from the start, we did a lot. And it was definitely different because we were basically lifeguarding chairs and social distance, and we appreciate everyone cooperating with us and enjoying, because that was our first time we had to see people. So I enjoyed that time because it was hard not seeing people. After, I would say, like the 7 week, it was probably like June 26th, and we started, thanks to the approval of the protocol of the independent living family visits. They were taking place outside, 6 feet apart, at the shuffleboard courts. So rain or shine, as we know, and it was a pleasure to meet your families, and it was great to do something also appreciative. So thank you for allowing us to do that. And currently, I'm still doing assisted living family visits. So we are having that same concept, but more to assisted living patio. And that's still continuing. So the good news is the gym has been reopened pretty much, I would say, a month. And our pool, this is our 2nd week open. We have been reaching out to our previous members. We are getting new people, or people maybe want to exercise. That's fine. Please give us a call. Again, 6477. Our gym and pool phone number is 4023. Because our concept has changed. We do temperature checks. It's currently right now in the gym, we're allowing 2 people at a time in a 30-minute interval. We had to move some of our equipment. Everything's safe, but we wanted to space everything out so it wasn't also tempting to try equipment that was not 6 feet apart. So we were able to do that. It's been going well, and again, we do want people to think there are options. Sometimes we do have opening in the 30-minute intervals, and we're always looking if maybe something will change of 2 people at a time. So we have to look into that. Everything is definitely checked, and what is the new protocol. And like I said, the pool is open. Also 30-minute, for the pool we give a little bit more time because of the locker rooms are closed. So we do give people more pool deck time. We do have towels still, and we're allowing 2 people at a time. There will be a pool lane coming due to some of our efforts with vendors. They had production slow due to probably their protocol and also possible layoffs. So it's coming in pieces. I'm waiting for the buoys. That's what I'm waiting for. And the last, we've delivered gifts to our volunteers. Sadly, we could not celebrate together, but we each presented with a gift and a thank you in recognition of all the hard work all the volunteers did from, again, 2019, 2020, of that timeline. So I was disappointed, but we had to look at what was possible, and what was possible is we're trying to give a nice gift and a handmade thank you card, and that would lead me to the next thing is, as things are new norm and things are coming back, we are opening to looking at what was volunteered in the past. So I will ask for returning and also new volunteers. Like I said, there's new opportunity as of right now too, of thinking outside the box, being creative. If you have an idea, 6477. I'm here to listen. I know a resident the other day, she said, I can talk to you. I said, yeah, you can always talk to me. And she had a good idea, and I talked about it to my superiors. So there's no right or wrong answer. It takes a conversation. So again, please call. And thank you. Wear a mask, wash your hands. We miss you and we love you.
All right, so now it's time for the audience participation part of the show. You at home can participate if you want, but I've got about 10 people in front of me. All right, if you want to call Steve, what's his number?
6477.
All right, 6477. In case you didn't hear him say that 27 times during the presentation, it's 6477. No, all kidding aside, folks. Steve and his team have done a hell of a job in trying to keep everyone engaged and involved in times where we can't be engaged and involved together. And it started when everything had to get shut down and we were doing the one-on-one stuff, the door drops with the birthday treats or the tasty cakes. Nobody bakes a cake as tasty as a tasty cake, Steve. For birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, the puzzles and things, and then it kind of evolved as we've been able to slowly move forward with the outdoor time and 1,500 checks of our residents for temperatures going outside. Today's the first time I heard that number. That's amazing. All while trying to keep everyone safe. I think that's the key there. Again, that was all done for people's safety. And we were able to effectively allow folks to get out of their apartments in early May, start spending a little bit of time outside, seeing someone, albeit socially distant, at the chairs that were spaced all the way around the pond. I think we all also gained a new appreciation for just how pretty that pond area is and maybe how underutilized that space is. It's a beautiful area, and we really were able to capitalize on that this year thanks to Steve and the LiveWell team. And then obviously the next step being toward the visits with families, and now towards some of the other reopening of the fitness center and the pool. So Steve, thank you to you and your team. You have helped keep some sanity in what has been the most difficult of times for so many of us, so thank you. So how does that pond area stay so nice? Well, that's because we have Stan Mezakevich, our Director of Facilities. Stan and his team are another group that have been very busy during the COVID crisis, keeping things clean, keeping things filtered, keeping things blowing the right way in circulation, all important things as we work on keeping us all safe. So I'm going to turn it over to Stan to give you a little update on what his team has been doing for all of us here at Monroe Village. Yeah.
Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I just want to talk to you about some of the things going on in the maintenance department. We recently changed all of the HVAC filters in the resident apartments to ensure proper air quality. If yours wasn't completed, please call the concierge so we can have it changed. These filters will be changed again in November. The maintenance team will continue to practice social distancing and wear masks while in your apartment. We will be having our 5-year Department of Community Affairs inspection very shortly. They will be going to every apartment, checking all HVAC closets and water heater closets. Please do not have any storage in these closets. My maintenance team and security will be checking your apartments shortly to ensure that we're all in compliance. Stay safe and be well. Thank you.
Thanks, Stan. I think Stan was being a little modest in terms of what his crew has been up to over the last several months. Yeah, they've been doing filter changes, but they've also been, assisting the housekeeping team with keeping things clean. They've been assisting the concierge folks with getting stuff done. They've been assisting security. They have been, part of our jack of all trades. And while today's focus of our meeting is primarily on where we've been with COVID-19 and what we've been doing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, last week we kind of had a tropical storm and lost power for a bit. And I don't know if anybody knows, we had a couple of fairly large trees come down around the campus, and the maintenance team was on it, like that, clearing the roadway, ensuring that we would be able to get emergency vehicles in and out of here if we needed to, and the cleanup that had to take place across the campus outside as a result of the storm damage. Fortunately, we didn't really have any damage to the building, but we did lose a few trees, and Stan and his crew were on top of cleaning that up, and they should be commended for keeping us safe from that as well. All right, so next up, speaking of safety, is somebody who loves to speak in front of a crowd. Cindy Felter, our Director of Resident Services. The crowd's small today, Cindy. So the concierge team, under Cindy's direction from a resident services perspective, have been our gatekeepers along with security over the last several months. So they have really had to, they are the ones who are making sure that everyone is safe when they enter the bubble. You know, we've been calling Monroe Village, the bubble we have over top of us, and they are the ones who've been holding down the fort on that front line, that if people aren't safe, because we're screening everyone, then they're not allowed admission into the building. On top of that, they've been managing all the things that have been coming in the front door. Security's been delivering. Rob's going to talk a little bit about that, but it's been a lot. And on top of all of those things, they're coming up with ways to get us re-engaged again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cindy.
Good morning, or actually, when we're doing this, it's noon. It's so good to see everybody, or some people, out in the hallways getting their mail, going to the bistro in the morning. It was kind of like that scene in The Shining in the hotel with nobody in the hallways. But it's so good to see everybody coming out and to welcome the new people. In the midst of this pandemic, we've actually had new people move in. We've been having people go through the continuum of care and do it very successfully in spite of horrible circumstances. And that is a group effort, and everybody in this room has worked incredibly hard on that. I've been working on the protocols for the different groups. So every time we do something like outside time or the bus or what's the new one? Family visits, we have to have protocol that we submit to the home office that has to get approved. So every detail is looked at, and we've been very, very successful, Steve especially, with outdoor time, because that was kind of like herding cats. I'm not gonna lie. But it was a very successful endeavor to get you guys outside, and it was joyful too. Okay, so what's cooking in September? Because right now we have a limit of 25 people per event inside, we have to do small groups. So we've come up with some that we're gonna be doing in September. We're working on bingo, which is tricky. So we are open to suggestions, but we're working on the protocol to make sure. The money part is hard, but we're working on the prizes, we're working on the seating, we're working on how often we're going to do it, because that has been a big request of people. And so those people who have worked on bingo, please contact who?
Steve Ween.
And what's his phone number?
6477.
Thank you. And new people. I know we have some new people who also want to volunteer. Reverend Filson is going to be back, and he's going to do the weekly Bible study. And the book discussion group is starting. The library staff is going to bring us books. And then we're going to do Jeopardy, which is always fun. And then Gina DePiro was instrumental in starting a new group called The New Normal. And this is a group that exchanges ideas, I'm going to read it, to be given tips in a supportive environment if you're a caregiver to somebody with a chronic illness or dementia. So we had just started that when the pandemic came, and I'm excited to get that back up, because there are people who could definitely benefit from sitting around and talking to other people who are in similar circumstances. And Gina's been through it, so she is a wondrous person to talk to about this. The Rosary group is going to start again. That's completely resident-led. And Reverend Terry is doing Secular Spirituality. We're working with the title, which is going to be talking about sources of hope and meaning. So that'll be a good group. We're not sure how often we're going to do that, but we're working on that. So let's see. Oh, so volunteer, everybody. Because especially new people, this is a great way to get in the community. This is a great way to feel like a part, because this is going to be all new for everybody. We're creating a whole new culture here. So you're needed as well. If you have an idea and you want to suggest bird watching group, because we were going to do things like this before we hit the pandemic. Let's get it started again, because the small groups are where we're going to get the most bang for our buck right now, because we can't do big groups. And then I wanted to take a time, I don't know if you can see these funny pictures, but I wanted to talk about the group of people that I have been working with for the past year. And they are an amazing group of people. Everybody in this room, I have never ever worked with more heartfelt, hardworking, go above and beyond. If anybody needs help, there's always somebody there to support them. So I wanted to take some time and thank those people. Starting with housekeeping. We have some housekeepers who are older and they have existing conditions, and they were pretty scared during the pandemic, and they showed up every single day. They were rock stars, absolutely rock stars. Deidre in the business office, I don't know if you can see this picture, but she got dressed up every month to collect the payments and bring you joy. That was her, that was her goal. It was really funny. And Joe, Candy, and Mike in dining. So on a dime, they had to come up with a way to feed every single person. And it was flawless. It was like they did not miss a beat. And it was really incredible to see. And the care, they would figure out, oh, we didn't get a call from this person, and they would, you know, call or go to the apartment. I mean, the care of everybody in that staff is amazing. Nathan and Joe, who had the monumentous task of doing the mail, and Gabriella and the clinic, there's nothing, you can't say anything about them. They were just incredible. Steve and Ashley, who worked really hard to make sure everybody was safe. Sometimes they had to be the police, and sometimes it was really, you know, a hard endeavor, but they did a really good job. And everybody else who worked in that capacity. And Gina, who sent out the emails and communicated with family and with all of you. And if I told her somebody was having a hard time as I was walking out the door at night, she would go and she'd get a bench, she'd plop it down in the hall, the knock on the resident's door, and just talk to her through the door. Where there was a need, she would do it. And lastly, to Jay, who really was the epitome of who you want in a storm. He was calm, he was reasonable. Every decision he made from a place of the very best, how do you say it? He wanted the very best. I turned to Jay. He wanted the very best for you, all of you residents and all the staff. He did everything, and he came, and every morning, it could have been just a fiasco the night before on the news, but there was Jay, and he was calm, and I'm really grateful. So the staff here is an amazing group of people. And 20 years from now, you know how they ask, where were you when Kennedy was shot? Well, if they ask me, where were you when there was the pandemic, I get to say I was with the most amazing group of people. So, on that note, I look forward to our future and everything we're going to do together. So, thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. She kind of stole my thunder for later in my presentation, but you know.
Shouldn't let me go first.
I shouldn't let you go first, yeah. No, but I think Cindy speaks for all of us in recognizing the efforts of all of our leaders here. We are very fortunate, I am very fortunate to work with an extraordinary group of people. And there isn't one person who works here that doesn't put the best interest of our residents first. It may not always appear that way to someone in the heat of the moment, but every decision that is made is truly with what is best for our residents, and I hope that everyone can understand and appreciate that and know that we have a lot of people who are here from the heart, for the right reasons. And I'm very fortunate and blessed to have such a group, as are all of you, I believe, as residents. Someone who wears that heart on his sleeve every day is our Chief of Security, Rob Shepard. So Rob's going to give you a little update about what his team has been up to and what they are doing throughout the pandemic to keep us all safe. So, here's Rob.
Thank you, Jack. You bet.
I got it.
Where am I looking, Steve? Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I just want to say we miss everybody and we can't wait till everything goes back to normal. During this pandemic, package delivery to your door, including all those things, supplies, groceries, I'm going to say Amazon, and the groceries that were dropped off by loved ones. We continue to deliver those every single day. We continue during the pandemic to patrol the building and grounds day and night to ensure that the campus is safe and that no one is entering the bubble without a proper approval and proper screening. The security team will continue to practice social distancing and wearing masks while we're in your apartment for TV issues or any other emergencies. So we ask that you do the same. Please contact me at what number?
6401
with any questions or concerns. Okay.
Steve doesn't want those calls.
We're going to talk about the retirement of Rochesh Trivedi. We're going to miss him. We're really going to miss him. And he was the dining room master of Walker's. But we do welcome Bassam Bullis to the team, and he can't wait to meet everybody. So please stay safe, and we'll hopefully see everybody real soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I don't know how many times a day at the height of the crisis I saw Rob or Angel or another member of our security team roll past my office with a big thing full of boxes or packages or whatever that they were delivering to our residents. They definitely had their roller skates on during the height of the deliveries that we were doing in the midst of the pandemic, and we are so thankful that they were there to do that for us, to get all those needed packages out to people, to do it with a smile and a friendly visit. Made it a little bit easier on everyone seeing their smiling. Well, we didn't really see their smiling faces, did we? Because they were all like this. But knowing that there was a smile behind that mask meant a lot to so many of us. So thank you, Rob. Thanks to your team. And next up is another person who's always smiling, even if you can't see it, is Reverend Terry Thomas Primer, our chaplain. She has been so supportive to so many of us during this challenging time, offering words of counsel, words of wisdom, words of reinforcement on what we've been doing and support, and it has really been helpful for all of us. So I'd like to ask Terry to come up to talk a little bit about where we're kind of looking to go and what we've been doing from a spiritual life standpoint.
Wow, this has just been an amazing and awful experience for all of us. But we're going to dial back to January, in which I talked with all of you about two initiatives that I started in August, and one was working with a program called Healing Touch to provide relaxation and comfort and healing for residents, and the harp therapy. In February and March, we were able to have 30 sessions of Healing Touch down in our spa room in the Wellness Center. It was so well received. We had at least 12 residents who participated in an every other week session. And unfortunately, by the end of March, we had to shut that down. But we're hopeful that if things can continue to move in a positive way, that will be able to come back. I've had a number of people ask, when can we do that again? So just put it on hold and continued to do the safety protocols. As one thing got shut down, something else emerged, and I found particularly in April when we were all so bereft that the small doodlings on the harp brought a lot of comfort and just relaxation to staff as well as residents. I played as all of our staff was given the COVID test twice, that awful test in May. You have heard me play in the front lobby. I've played over in Village Point, and I have played for at least 5 people who were on hospice and who have since left this world. So it has continued to be a source of comfort for me and will continue to do that. I even played some outside while we were doing the pond. In addition to that, this all shut down about the same time that our holidays arrived. So we did Passover to go, which was kind of a spur of the moment. How can we be spiritually connected while being socially distanced, as Governor Cuomo talked about it. So our dining services partnered with me, and we provided the essentials for a single Passover, which is not the way it's supposed to be. But we are also able to provide little small Haggadahs so that everyone had their own chance to do that ritual either alone or sometimes with their family by way of Zoom. We're grateful for our student, Rachel Kipnis, who provided that for us, and we're grateful. Palm Sunday, I gave out palms to anyone who was here for that important holiday. Going into the fall, we probably will do Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in the same way, partnering with dining services to provide a taste of the holiday, at the same time provide some of the ritual. We are fortunate that, at least for that holiday, I have a small video of Miles Goldberg playing the shofar. It happened to be in 2015, and he knew at that point that that was going to be his last holiday. So it's a very poignant video, but we will play it both for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur over our 1979. In addition to that, we have been very fortunate to have Rachel Kipnis, who was here during the academic year. In the summer, we have had Rachel Davidson, also from the Reconstructionist Seminary. She has done visits with many of you. She has also been instrumental in continuing with some program over at Village Point. And I am really pleased. I am talking this afternoon to a young man named Asher Softman, who may come and be our rabbinical intern for the fall. So stay tuned for some new offerings, both for you all here as well as for across at Village Point. In addition, we have this wonderful opportunity to have a Princeton Seminary student. She is Asian. Her name is Wing Lee, L-I. She will be coming into the building in the next couple of weeks to get oriented. So we've got 2 new staff members potentially, which offers me some ability to provide programming to you that has not been possible because of all of this. And lastly, I want to give thanks for Steve and his team who helped put together our Walk of Remembrance. So many people left our community, and we were not able to say goodbye to them in any possible appropriate way. And it was delightful and bittersweet to walk the pond, to see their names, and to see their faces in our mind's eye. It is likely that in October we will have that same opportunity again, unless things drastically improved. But at least we've had, at least one particular way. Gina put together a wonderful picture collage of the person's face and their name on the paving, and an example of that went to every family member whose names their family members' names were listed. And the feedback has been just very generous and loving. And I hope in September we're putting together a quilt exhibition that will hang out again at the pond. The fall is often a time when we have country fairs where you're outside, and because of the prolific number of quilts I have in mine, I have offered those as a way for people, again, to spend some time when the weather's a little cooler and a chance to chat and to look at something fun. Or again, I loved what Andrew Cuomo said, which is that even though we may be socially distant, we are still spiritually connected with one another. So blessings on you in the days to come. Amen.
Thank you, Terry. I have to say it is one of the many benefits we have of being part of the Spring Point families that we are lucky enough to have a chaplaincy program sponsored through our foundation. And having Reverend Terry here to be able to provide us with spiritual comfort and understanding during very difficult times, to me has been a blessing. And I think that it is really great that we are part of an organization that values that spiritual piece and component to one's overall wellness. Not all communities are fortunate enough to have a chaplain on site the way that we are. So we are very, very fortunate there. All right, so you've heard from everyone else, and I have just a few things that I'm going to cover in addition to what you've heard from our great team this morning. Sort of my view of the COVID-19 experience and how we have weathered the storm. Terry mentioned the walk of remembrance that we had around the pond. And that wasn't just from those who passed from COVID-19, it was in recognition and appreciation and in the memory of all of those residents who we had lost during that intervening time period. And it really was a little overwhelming, to take that walk. And I hope you had the opportunity to do too, or to see our video that we posted for you, to think about the contributions of so many to our community. And we do continue to mourn all of those that we lost from COVID-19. We lost a lot of great friends who will be very, very sadly missed. But fortunately, if you will, despite the challenges and the loss that we had very early on in the COVID crisis, when we were all struggling and scrambling to understand here at Monroe Village, throughout New Jersey, in the United States and around the world, what exactly we were dealing with, we were able to create safety inside our bubble. I called us a bubble before it was trendy to call us a bubble. I don't think I'm a trendsetter, but I got lucky. We kept things safe here inside the bubble once we got a handle on what we were faced with. And that was due to the hard work of all of those folks you've heard from today and so many others, including all of you as residents and you doing your part, washing your hands, wearing your mask, staying inside your apartment, staying distant if you did have to come out for any reason, making sacrifices where you couldn't see one another, where you couldn't see and visit with family members and friends. But all of those efforts combined helped create the safety inside the bubble. And those sacrifices are what helped with our safety. And again, that was due to the tremendous effort of the Monroe Village and the Village Point teams to work hard to keep all of us safe. Because you've heard me say so many times that we're one great big family. We're a great big dysfunctional family a lot of times, but we're one great big family. And I don't know how to say this other than you really saw that shine through in this terrible, awful, incomprehensible storm we have been through and are still battling. But families take care of one another when the chips are down. And you get together, you circle the wagons, and you take care of one another. And that's what we've done here at Monroe Village. Be it our residents, be it our staff, be it our leadership, be it those outside of our community that have supported us from afar, our loved ones who have offered us support. But that effort by the team members who are here, the sacrifices they made as well, should not go unrecognized. And I know how many of you residents value and appreciate what they have done, because so many of you have reached out to me to tell me what you've seen and how safe you felt because of the hard work by those on the Monroe Village and the Village Point teams. So as far as, sort of where we're at right now, we're continuing with ongoing testing to keep us safe. And it's testing every week of team members that work in the regulated areas. And what do I mean by that? That means everyone who works at Village Point. That means everyone who works in our assisted living neighborhood. That means everyone who works in our clinic or personal care teams. It means folks who are in and out and back and forth from different levels of care throughout the day. It's the entire leadership team, because we need to make sure that we are the ones interacting with you as independent living residents, as well as with the assisted living residents and the Village Point residents, that we're keeping one another safe. So that testing will continue for the foreseeable future, much to everyone's delight. We say if it's Wednesday, it must be time to flare your nostrils and get ready for a test. But people have been very, very good about that, and that again is for the safety and the well-being of all of us here at Monroe Village and Village Point. And then don't forget, on top of that testing that's happening every week, every single person who comes into our community, be it at Village Point or Monroe Village, they have to come in through our front door and they have to go through our screening checkpoint. And we are doing hundreds of checks every single day of people that are coming in our doors, our staff members, now in independent living, our visitors that are coming in to see you, any vendors that may need to come into the building, anyone. You do not pass go, do not collect $200. For those of you who know Monopoly, you don't get past the door until you go through that screening. And if you don't pass our screening in terms of your health and safety, it's both a temperature check as well as a form that you have to fill out indicating where you've been and what you've been doing. If you don't pass those, you don't get to come into our community, because we need to keep the bubbles safe. And that's what we have done, and that's what we will continue to do for the foreseeable future. And I know that creates, now that we've reopened a little bit, for some of our residents and their guests, I know that creates a little bit of a logistical challenge. We're used to people maybe coming in through our parking lot entrances, or if you're on a first floor apartment, perhaps coming right to your door and coming to visit. We cannot permit those things at this time. And it really is for the safety, the health, and the well-being of all of us in the Monroe Village and Village Point family that we all adhere to those protocols. It's very, very important. So I ask that everyone continue to follow those. Safe reopening of the campus. And I can't take credit for this way to describe it. David Woodward, who is our Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Spring Point, when we've talked as a team about how we're doing things and how we're reacting to the news and the facts that are out there and the guidance from all the different people, be it the CDC, the New Jersey Department of Health, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, we need to take all that into consideration. But when we reopen things, or when we close things down, think of it as a dimmer switch. If you have a light that's on a dimmer, you can make it brighter and you can make it less bright, right? You can make it dimmer, but that doesn't mean it's totally off. And when it's brighter, that doesn't necessarily mean it's totally on, right? Where at the light switch, you're either off or you're on. We will continue to go through this utilizing that concept of a dimmer switch and reacting to the regulations that are put in front of us, the guidance we receive from the different government bodies, and what is going on out there in the world. So we're trying to move that dimmer switch up right now. We're trying to make the room brighter. We're trying to do more things. And we're slowly rolling things out. And you've heard a lot of folks today talk about where we're kind of heading, particularly Cindy and Steve with a lot of the resident services things, Mike with some of the dining services things. We're looking to move those things forward. God willing, we won't have any obstacles in our way. But if things change and circumstances warrant, we'll have to push that dimmer switch back down, and we may have to dial things back down, even some of the things we've already brought back into practice as of today. I hope we don't have to, but it is a possibility, and we're going to continue to use that concept and that thought of a dimmer switch sliding up and down, reacting to what the circumstances are that we're facing with. But remember, no matter what we're doing, it's to safely react and respond and to keep everyone inside the bubble doing well. So that's sort of my thoughts about the COVID-19 experience and where we're going. Again, I think I've said it multiple times, we've got a great group who have done everything they possibly could and more to keep us all safe here, and we cannot be thankful and appreciative enough of all of their efforts. So finally, that takes me to, do you like that segue? Yeah, thank you. Takes me to our resident engagement survey. For those of you who have been longtime residents here at Monroe Village, you've probably heard of the Hollerin survey. We do a resident engagement survey of our residents every other year to take the temperature of you, to see what you think is going well, to see where you think we need to improve. And from there, we try to develop action plans on how we can further improve your experience. We last did that survey in 2018, and we typically do it in the late spring, May, early June kind of time frame. Needless to say, we were a little busy in May, so we bumped it back. But just because we were busy doesn't mean that the feedback isn't important. And so we pushed it back, and now we're asking for you to provide us with that feedback. So the surveys are going to be distributed probably next Monday, which, depending on when you were viewing this, we're talking about Monday, August 17th. And typically we've had some sort of a social event, or we've had a table out where you could come and pick up your survey. Obviously, with all the corona fun, we can't do those things. So we're going to do some door-to-door distribution. So you may get a knock at your door with someone dropping off your survey so we can get your feedback. We will ask that you complete that survey, and there will be one survey provided to each resident. So if you're a couple living together, you're still going to get 2 surveys, and we're asking for both of you independently to complete that survey. As a thank you for taking the time to give us your feedback, anyone who returns your sealed envelope, I want to be real clear about that. We want back sealed envelopes. We are not looking to see your responses. And maybe I should back up half a step. I mentioned the word Hollerin. They are an independent company that we contract with that does surveys like this for continuing care retirement communities across the country. They are the ones who are administering the survey. They are the ones who will see your information and read your comments and results. They will then produce a report that we will see and respond to that is of aggregate data. It is not based on individual responses. So back to my point here is we don't want to see your individual results. I don't want anyone to feel that we are going to scan or review one's information or responses. That's not what we're asking for. We're just asking for you to provide them to us. So we want you to return your survey to us in a sealed envelope so that we can make sure they get back to the survey company Hollerin. As a token of our appreciation in recognizing the time you took to give us that valuable feedback, we're going to provide you with a coupon for an additional meal. And as things open back up, God willing, there'll be more opportunities for you to take advantage of our little thank you gift. So we'll be coming around to pick up the surveys, or you can drop it off at the concierge desk. And there'll be a little more detail about how that pickup is going to work. But if you do so and get it back to us by August 26th, we will provide you with that voucher or that coupon as a thank you, so you can have a complimentary meal. If you're not comfortable doing that, that's okay, and we respect that. You can still drop your sealed envelope survey in the mailbox, in US mail, and it will get sent to Hollery. It still needs to go out, though, by no later than that August 26th date. Unfortunately, though, if you choose to do that, because as I mentioned, we don't get a rundown of who returned a survey and who did not, we won't be able to validate that you completed it and provide you with that thank you gift. So as I said, we look at things in the aggregate. So if we get 85% or more participation in the survey, because remember, we're looking for your responses, and the more responses we get, the more valid the information is that we can work with. And we really do value what you have to say. It's really, really important. So if we get, as an extra incentive here, if we get more than 85% participation, and Mike's eyes are getting real wide right now because he just read what was on the screen, we will have, in some way, shape, or form, a celebratory dinner as recognition of the great participation that we had. What that will look at like, I gotta be honest right now, I can't tell you, because we don't know where we'll be in the fall in terms of dining and what we'll be able to provide, but I can promise you it'll be something good, okay? We want to be able to offer you that as a thank you for your participation. So a couple of things that I like to remind everyone of when you are filling out your survey. Satisfaction does not equal perfection. We're not perfect. God knows I'm not perfect. My wife and my children, they will stand up here and tell you stories for days, I'm sure, about how I'm not perfect. But that doesn't mean that just because we aren't perfect at something that we haven't satisfied what needed to be done. And I don't want people to equate satisfaction with perfection. I think that's just an important thing to think about. None of us are perfect. None of us are. But we can be satisfied even though we're not perfect. And I ask that you remember the staff. You know, you've heard us all talk a lot today about the efforts folks have made. And you yourselves as residents have commented to me more times than I can count of the tremendous efforts that you have seen put forth each and every day, but especially in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I ask that you keep those thoughts in mind as you complete your survey and offer us honest and open feedback so that we can see what we're doing well and what we can do to continue to improve and enhance the experience of being a resident of Monroe Village. It really is important. We really want to hear what you have to say, and this is just one tool by which we can get that information, but it is a very important tool that we use, so we ask that you participate, and we thank you for your feedback. So with that being said, we normally move now to questions and comments and take some feedback from the audience. Well, unfortunately, we're not gathered together today, as we all know, so we can't do live comments and questions. That doesn't mean, as I just said, that your feedback isn't important to us. So what we're asking is that if you have a comment or a question after seeing today's meeting, that you reach out to Administrative Assistant Extraordinaire, Gina DePiro. She's not at 6477. You can call her at 6413, or you can email her at gdepiro, that's GDIPIERRO @springpointsl.org. And Gina will collect comments and questions, and then we will answer them and get them back to you. Going forward, in all likelihood, this is the way that we're going to be doing town hall meetings for a little bit. So we're going to have to continue to work through how we can have the interactive or the feedback part of our meetings, because I know that's really important, and we want to come up with ways to continue to have that. So for this first shot at this, we're going to do it this way. So if you send your comments and your questions to Gina, we will get answers and get them back to you, and then maybe at the next meeting, we'll read some of those comments and questions so that the residents as a whole can hear what the feedback was or what the comments were from your fellow residents. So that being said, this has definitely been one of our longest meetings here for a town hall at Monroe Village. I hope that you were able to stick with us through all of it. There was a lot of really, really valuable information shared today. I hope you feel that it was worth your time to invest in it. And as so many others have said this morning, we miss you, and I guess it's now the afternoon. We miss you. We miss seeing all of our residents. It's been wonderful in the last few weeks as we've started to be able to venture out a bit to see people again. I can't tell you how lonely it has been walking the halls and not seeing anyone. You've all experienced it yourselves. I guess I can tell you because you've been lonely in your apartments as well. We've all missed one another tremendously, and it's just nice to be able to start to see one another again. I ask that you continue to do your part. If you leave your apartment, wear your mask. It's for your protection as well as that of all of our fellow residents and staff here at Monroe Village and Village Point. Wash your hands at least 20 seconds, multiple times a day. Use good soap and water. Use the hand sanitizers if you're out and about. As Dale mentioned, they are all over the community. Please use them. And if you are out and about, continue to practice social distancing. I know we all want to get close to one another, give one another hugs. I've been doing virtual hugs with people. We've got to stay 6 feet away. It's not the way that I am by nature. You all know that. Those of you who know me well enough, I'm not a stay far away from you type of person. I hope I'm not an in-your-face and close talker, but I like to give those a hug who need it. We can't do those things now. We've got to maintain that space. And doing those things will help us continue to have the tremendous results and the safety that we have had here inside the bubble at Monroe Village and Village Point. Because of our efforts, we have not seen a case of COVID-19 at Monroe Village in independent living, assisted living, or amongst the residents since the end of April or the beginning of May, right around there. So that is May, June, July, we're now midway through August. So 3.5 months, we have not had a case of COVID-19 at Monroe Village. And that's because of the hard work that everyone has put forth and the sacrifices that everyone has made. We've had similar results at Village Point. Not zero, but similar, very, very low cases, and most of them have been because of folks we have admitted in and we've been able to safely care for them during the COVID crisis. So with that, thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for listening. I hope you found it worth your while. I leave you with thoughts of Jersey produce, things we all enjoy during the summer, right? Good Jersey corn, Jersey tomatoes, and thoughts of happiness and well wishes to all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everyone.